So how about the Legends Arceus game, huh? It's pretty good, right? Yeah, good game. I'm really enjoying it. And you want to know one of my favorite things about this game? Well, obviously it's gotta be the new regional variants and the new evolutions. Can you imagine just a few years ago, we'd wait so long just to see any type of new Pokemon, but now it seems like we're getting them almost every year. And you know what? Regional forms are like some of the best things Game Freak has ever thought of. It's like you grab an old Pokemon, you redesign it, you give it a new typing, new lore, new vibes, and boom! It's just a whole new Pokemon. And what makes it even better is when it evolves into something completely new. Oh heck yeah, and I'm loving these ones in Legends Arceus. And the fact that Legends Arceus is set in the past, meaning that these new forms and Pokemon we're seeing are technically extinct now, I think that's just like really cool. Yeah, it does suck that they're extinct now, you know, big F. But we're probably going to see them again in Gen 9 through some, I don't know, probably time travel. I just hope they're not going to be all like, oh hello, I'm a new professor, I just discovered this new breviary. Look, it's so cool. Please don't do that, Game Freak. But of course, why they went extinct, that's a bit of a mystery, but one I'm going to be looking at, because if there's one thing I love, it's extinction. Oh, and also death. In a purely scientific way, of course. I don't know, for some reason it's just really fun for me to look at like the past and be all like, yeah, that probably went extinct that way, so we're going to be looking at all the Hisunian Forms that way. And let's just dive right in and start with Weirdeer, a new awesome evolution for Standler. Now Standler is one of those Pokemon that ever since Gen 2 you looked at and you're just like, why don't you have an evolution? And then, you know, 6 generations later, they did something with it. It's a normal psychic type, which I didn't really expect. I kind of expected it to be like an ice psychic. It just looks really warm, and I assumed that would be good for the heat. But like normal psychic is cool too, and psychic, you know, makes sense when you consider how mysterious and just weird Sandler is. Honestly, surprised they didn't give it psychic to begin with, but I guess they wanted Giraffe for it to feel special. But regarding Weirdeer's extinction, yeah, it gets pretty dark from the get-go if you know anything about Standler's dex entries. For years, we've known about Standler being hunted for its antlers, and in this game it's stated that the black orbs from fallen antlers are good for treating insomnia. Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad, right? You just wait for them to fall off and no one gets hurt. Weirdeer used to be a social Pokemon and very close and helpful to people. But as you can imagine, seeing your kin get mopped by people, it would make you trust them less. Also, this Pokemon is known for its fur, which can be made into lovely clothing, which is great for the cold, but you can probably imagine a scenario where they were maybe domesticated for their fur, and well, lots of Weirdeer just sitting in one place. That gives other people a really easy chance to gather their antlers. But may I need to remind everyone that Sinnoh is in its early days now. People just aren't too familiar with Pokemon at the moment. But of course, the less scared people become of Pokemon, that's usually good. However, some people, they don't see Pokemon as predators anymore, they see Pokemon as prey. I mean, yeah, you could wait for those antlers to drop on the floor, but in the people's perspective, you know, the ones who hunt those Pokemon, a fresh set of antlers is always just gonna sell better. Either way, the reason why Weirdeer isn't around anymore today is pretty self-explanatory. Plus, when you're like Weirdeer, you're a lot bigger, and therefore you're an easier and bigger target. Next up is the new Braviary. This Braviary is really cool. It's a psychic and flying type, and it's one of those like regional forms where the pre-evolution is just the same, but then it evolves into the regional form. You know, like Pikachu and Execute, which all has to do with epigenetics. Now, Game Theory covered epigenetics in Pokemon a while back, so I'm not going to explain it too thoroughly. What it is pretty much that the environment you're in and the experiences you go through end up determining how you look later in life. It's more to do with your genes expressing themselves differently than your genes changing altogether. There's some more Pokemon in this region that evolved this way, but I'm just saying it right now so it's already out of the way. This Pokemon is now extinct in Sinnoh, but it doesn't actually come from there, but somewhere further north from the region. It just comes to Sinnoh during the winter. So it's probable that this Pokemon still lived to the current day. Heck, we might even see it in Gen 9, maybe it comes from that region or something. Unlike regular Braviary, these Pokemon like to be alone, and perhaps, if they are extinct, being together is what they needed in order to survive. But I'm still banking on them actually being alive today. If you want to talk about forgettable Pokemon, you gotta mention Basculin, because the reason it was made to begin with was literally because they didn't have enough fish Pokemon in Unova. It's like, what, 156 Pokemon isn't enough? Basculegion, however, its new evolution, aw man, I love this Pokemon. Plus, the fact that it's a ghost type because of all the dead Basculin that are inside of its body, That's hardcore.
There's also a new form of Basculin, the white striped one, though at first I didn't honestly know that it was a regional form, just a new form, because, you know, it's still a water type, and that just doesn't scream regional form to me at all. Oddly enough, these only evolve into Basculegion after doing this. Well, luckily it's not as complicated as evolving Galarian Yamask, but it's still pretty ridiculous. According to the Dex, this species is calmer than the rest, likely tamer too, which is really odd considering what it evolves into, but that could also have to do with its downfall in the future, that other Basculin are just better and more ferocious.
And also, do you know how many Basculin need to die for one Basculegion to even exist? I mean, yeah, Basculegion is really cool, and it can probably take on any Basculin just on its own, but as a species, I don't know, all those dead Pokemon, that's probably spreading the population pretty thin, so that just doesn't seem like a good idea. And plus it's a lot bigger, so it takes a lot more resources. All in all, it's just not a good idea. It'll probably do really good for a while, but eventually it'll just start to crash like really hard. Like, I really love this Pokemon, but unfortunately it's quite understandable why it went extinct. Creatures going extinct because of human intervention has always been a thing in Pokemon, and I think that Kleavor, this really cool new evolution for Scyther, has unfortunately fallen prey to just this.
This evolution is caused by special minerals that are probably only found in the old Sinnoh region. Whereas if you want to evolve Scyther into Scizor, well, in nature it probably evolves by just, I don't know, chomping down a lot of various metals, which are probably found everywhere. It is clear that Sinnoh is a lot more populated than it used to be, and nature also kinda went through a drastic overhaul. And whether or not people intended to, this could have been the downfall of Kleavor.
Maybe though, it was intentional, because Kleavor is described as being a rather scary Pokemon, and I mean, you know, axe for arms? Yeah, I wouldn't want to run into that. And of course, gotta remember the opening message of this game, that Pokemon are terrifying creatures. I'm sure that's been resolved for a lot of people at this point, but I definitely think that in the process, some people were just too frightened of really scary Pokemon like Kleavor, and that's what caused them to go extinct. Fear. Speaking of scary Pokemon, people of other regions really didn't like Zoroark and Zoroark, and they were shunned for their powers and migrated to the old Sinnoh region. But because of this region being much more competitive than they were used to, they kinda just straight up died. But luckily for us, they came back as sort of vengeful spirits in the form of these new awesome normal and ghost types. You know how long I've waited for this type, normal and ghost? I honestly didn't expect like the first one to be regional forms, but it's really cool. I just love these designs in general. They look like edgy Sonic OCs, and they also look very, like Zoroark looks like a lesbian? I can't quite explain it. But what happened? Why are these Pokemon extinct now? Well, it's pretty simple. It's love. Well, okay, I guess it's also people making Sinnoh a whole lot more friendlier, which in turn, you know, frightening Pokemon like this, they're just not that necessary anymore.
But mostly, yeah, love, as cheesy as it sounds. People began to understand Pokemon and began to understand these two, and their spitefulness was just no longer needed. This is even hinted at with Zoroark. On the official Pokemon website, it's stated to have a soft side for anyone close to it, and that it's an invaluable ally when befriended by someone. And yeah, over time, that ghost type just became literal ghost, and they went extinct, they faded away. With a new era of love and togetherness with people, Pokemon like this just aren't that common anymore.
Voltorb and Electrode are really easy to explain. These are Pokemon that wanted to look like Pokeballs, so they did, but as soon as modern Pokeballs were invented, they were all like, actually, I'm gonna go over to that. And then the ones that look like the oldies, they just end up going extinct. Also, am I the only one who really doesn't like this new form of Electrode? Because it's like, it's literally just the same. Like, I honestly was expecting a whole new evolution for Voltorb. Because, you know, it's a grass type now. I was really hoping we'd get a new evolution that would really hone in on that grass typing. Or do something with the steam that came from the Pokeballs. Maybe even a grass fire type. Oh man, that would have been really cool. But instead, we just got this. Two other Pokemon that are really easy to explain why they went extinct are the new forms of Growlithe and Arcanine. They used to be all scary and threatening, you know, have that rocky exterior, but then as they got closer to humans, they became big fluffy dogs that were just fire type. The answer is domestication. Domestication can be really hardcore. I mean, just look at wolves. They're super awesome, they're so big and ferocious, and look at a Chihuahua. Yeah, That's what happens. You become a rat goblin. Alright, now it's time to dive into the ones that don't have official website information about them, just Dex entries, so it's going to be a little bit harder to figure out why they went extinct. But let me tell you, this new regional form of Quillfish and its evolution Overquill, they are so cool. And Quillfish, again, the Pokemon that really desperately needed an evolution for such a long time.
There isn't that much to go off with the Dex entries. They're poisonous and mean, but why did they have the dark typing, and why did they go extinct? Maybe because they live in the water, but they don't have a water typing? They couldn't compete with other Pokemon living in the water that are water type? Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but okay, maybe their dark typing makes it so that their poison is more potent, like it's a combination of the two types, because of, you know, the harsher environment compared to the other regions. You'd assume Overquill would still live to this day though, because it nourishes itself by slurping up poison, and there's a bunch more pollution in the modern Pokemon world than back in the day, but I guess changing environments it is. Though I suppose people stopping to fish as often could also be a reason, as fishers in Old Sinnoh detest this Quillfish. So again, dark and poison having a more potent poison to get away from fishers often, then fishers just fishing less over time as they see Pokemon as friends in this region. Yeah, that could work. Both of these scenarios together could work. I mean, extinction isn't always just one cause, but yeah, this one's a little bit tricky.
Another Pokemon that really needed a new evolution, or at least some extra love, was Ursaring. It's a really cool Pokemon, but it just feels unfinished. But thank God for Ursaluna, by the way. I love this big bear. That's what it is. It's just a big bear. I love it. It's really cool. Although I honestly expected it to be like a fairy and ground type. I don't know, I just felt like that would have made more sense, and I also would have liked Teddiursa and Ursaring to have new forms as well, but wait, what can you do? Normal ground is still cool typing, and again, big bear.
Again, it's likely the environment and humans taking over more and more what's the cause of the downfall for this Pokemon, as this swampy terrain in Old Sinnoh granted this Pokemon to exist. Nowadays, there's just not this much muddy terrain and environment anymore in Sinnoh. I mean, yeah, you got the Great Marsh and Route 212, but that doesn't compare to how much of it there was in the past. Ursaluna is also just a big chunk, so it needs a lot of resources to survive, so slowly over time it just lost space, resources, and was forced to remain just Ursaring. Sneasler is a Pokemon.
Okay, so I do like this new Pokemon, and also the new regional variant of Sneasel, but someone in my Discord mentioned that it's kind of weird for Sneasel to get some extra love when Weavile is already native to Sinnoh. And then I started wondering, like, yeah, you know, why is that? And then I came to the conclusion that actually it's probably not too weird that they're there, because I think that the reason that they went extinct has to do with their solitude. This new Sneasel and its evolution are known to be loners, and Weavile is said to live in packs.
I think that these old versions probably did well for some time, but perhaps as the climate began to be colder and colder, or I guess just the experimentation of their evolution of working alone just lost its edge over time. Either way, the modern versions just began doing better, and being ice typing to deal with the cold, and dark typing to, I guess, sneak better, gave them that edge that they needed for survival. And the Dex even sort of confirms this, like brain power is probably attributed to working together, so, you know, if a singular Sneasler and Weavile ever met, I'm sure the Sneasler would definitely always win. It's a lot stronger as its own, but as a species, nope, I'm sorry buddy, you're just not cutting it anymore.
Anyway, 2 times 3 is 6, and we have Generation 6, and Sliggoo and Goodra got new forms. I really like Sliggoo. It's super cute, and when I first saw it, I honestly thought it was like some sort of like, I knew it was Sliggoo, but I thought it was hiding in like a rubber ducky for some reason, and then later I realized it was its shell. But Goodra, yeah, I don't know. It looks too samey. I like the new typing, you know, Dragon and Steel, but I feel like they should have went for Water and Steel, but honestly I feel like base Goodra should have been a Dragon and Water typing, but I still do like them.
Their forms are caused according to the Dex from the iron in the old waters. They're also found in the same place Ursaluna is, and considering how much more barren the whole Crimson Merlin is nowadays, yeah, that's pretty much what happened to these gastropods too. The iron in the water is likely considered dangerous for humans, so, you know, for humans nowadays in Sinnoh, it's all good, and they can probably much easier get their water from this place now, but for the Pokemon it's just unfortunate.
Avalugg is another Gen 6 Mon that also got the regional variant treatment, making it an Ice and Rock type now. And honestly, This is a really ugly variant. I'm sorry. I think this Pokemon is so ugly.
The reason it's like this now is because it needs to shovel its way through the environment. Its biology is just helpful for clearing deep snow and jagged mountains.
But like, didn't the original Avalugg also live in these kinds of places too? I mean, I guess Gen 6's Frost Cavern is more snow and ice and doesn't really have any rock. Okay, so best answer I got is that they evolved this way because of luck, because, you know, some creatures, they just get lucky through evolution. And it got the rock typing because that made it easier to traverse through old Sinnoh's, you know, jagged mountains and places. And then when the region changed, the typing went away and they either evolved back or something. I wonder if Pokemon can even do that. But they probably just went extinct. Well, as a species, they went extinct. Moving on to a design that I do really like, we got their new Lilligant. I really love this Pokemon. A ballerina type Pokemon that is also a fighting type. That's like something I thought of like years ago as, you know, the first fairy and fighting Pokemon. When are we gonna get that, by the way? But yeah, it's a grass fighting type, and it's stated that the reason it became like this is because, you know, when you're a fighting type, it helps you apparently traverse through snowier places more. Except, this Pokemon isn't found in any snowy area. So that's a straight up lie. It's found in the Crimson Merlins, exclusively, as a Petalil.
It probably, if I had to guess, evolved fighting typing due to competition. It also lives in the same place as Ursaluna, which is a normal typing. So, you know, fighting beats normal, maybe it has something to do with that. Or I guess just in general, using your fighting typing and kicking and moving faster just seems like a good thing to have in harsher environments. But the more interesting question is, how did it die? Well, probably the same reason Ursaluna went. The place changed heavily, everything became more peaceful, and there was just no more reason for this Lilligant to be around anymore.
Lastly, there are the starters, who have all gotten new regional variants, which honestly I didn't expect because the starters, well, they came from different places all around the world, so I thought, yeah, they're not going to do anything new with that. But, you know, we did. And Decidueye is the coolest by far. Grass and fighting type really makes sense with those huge legs. I really love it. Typhlosion is really cool too. You know, Fire Ghost. Fire and Ghost just harmonize together really well as a typing. But for some reason, Typhlosion looked like it either smoked a lot of weed or did a dookie in someone's toilet and didn't tell anyone. Actually, it probably did both. And then we also got Samurott, who didn't change that much. It's a Water Dark type now. I honestly think Water Steel would have been a lot better, but yeah, I don't like Samurott that much.
Decidueye responded to the cold, Typhlosion to the dead from Mountain Coronet, something to do with that, and Samurott just due to the region's harshness. Yeah, Samurott's again the weakest. The only forms of these that seemingly exist naturally in the region were the ones that were given to you from the Professor, and that's pretty much how they went extinct. Bringing a modern Rowlet to Sinnoh now likely won't cause the same result.
And yeah, that's all. That's how I think they went extinct. As for the question of why are Pokemon past Gen 4 in this game, I don't know. They probably retcon something, but, you know, only putting Gen 4 and below Pokemon in there, when we just had a faithful Gen 4 remake, yeah, that would have been pretty boring. But I'm not going to dive into that question. That's too much for me to handle, like way too much. I probably can't decide on my favorite regional variant just yet, but I know that my least favorite is Avalugg. What is your favorite? Let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, and if you think any of these Pokemon went extinct for different reasons, also let me know in the comment section down below. You know, let's get the algorithm hyping up or something. Also, new setup. What do y'all think? Cool, huh? I mean, I showed it before in update videos, but some of y'all probably not have seen that yet. So yeah, but Legends Arceus, really cool game. Probably gonna make more videos about it. We'll see. It's gonna be fun. And now I'll be leaving. Yep, finishing videos is kind of hard. But as always, before I go, I want to give out a massive shout out to my assistant professor and lecturer patrons, Ty Burns, DeltaMajora, and Michael Piccirilli. As always, y'all are just the best, and thank you so much for the support. And with that being said, I hope y'all have a good day, night, or morning, and as always, take care.